I'm building all of these doors with 1x4s, so I like to start off by shaving off a clean edge on one side. All of these doors are for my camper, and they all require airflow, so that's why I'm going with a slat design. And for all of the parts, they're all going to be 1.5 inches thick, so that makes the whole process easy. I go through and rip down all of the boards to 1.5 inch strips first. I then go over to the planer, which is an optional step, to plane my vertical pieces down to 1/2 inch. This, of course, would vary depending on how thick you want the door. I'm trying to keep everything to 3/4 of an inch total. Next, I cut out my vertical pieces to the exact door height that I need. Now, to give you a rough idea of the layout, there's 2 vertical pieces on each door on the side, and then slats run horizontally across. Moving on to the horizontal slats, I'm taking some of the 1.5 inch strips and then I'm splitting them in half on the table saw. I'm aiming for 1/4 inch slats because my 1/2 inch vertical pieces plus the 1/4 inch slat will give me a 3/4 inch thick door, which is what I'm going for. I then move over to the planer. Once again, this is optional. I'm just trying to get these exactly to 1/4 inch, and it does help clean them up as well, but you of course don't need to do this. But with all the slats planed down, I take them over to the miter saw and chop them down to the door width. And with that, it's time for assembly. So for assembly, I just line up the bottom piece first. I take a vertical piece and then a slat, and I just make sure these are square to each other, and I just glue and pin nail this together. Moving down with the rest of the slats, I space them apart by 1/4 inch, and same thing, just glue and pin nail them in place. Now, because I didn't want to do math, my last slat is spaced a little different. As you can see, it's larger than 1/4 inch. That's fine. I figured something weird would happen. I was just planning on embracing whatever it is, and this is kind of neat, I think, so I moved on to the second vertical piece. Same thing, just gluing and pin nailing this together, making sure it still looked square and spacing all of the slats as I slowly move down and pin them in place. I'm using these surface mount hinges, which I don't see often anymore, but these are real easy, so I like using these for my camper. After that, the last thing I need to do is add the handle. I'm using this Milescraft jig. There's a lot of these. They all work pretty well. They just help space where you need to drill holes for cabinet doors or drawer faces.